live stream advocating for all of the innocent sentient lives that are being exploited to cruelty, abuse, and murder this holiday season and every holiday. And it's beyond that. And this is not to be a militant vegan, but an ally and advocate for animals. I'm vegan. I'm going to be having a guest tonight. This is going to be my 10th podcast episode. I am adding him right now. This is Jamie. If it's glitchy in the beginning, I can drop you down and you can rejoin, but it seems to be working just fine. Hi, Jamie. How are you tonight?
Hey, Adria, how are you?
I'm really good. I just want to say that the chat might be a little wild, and I'm just going to emphasize like we are be focusing on those who aspire to be vegan, who have questions about animal sentience, animal rights, feelings, and compassion, especially questions about how many animals are murdered for the holidays, exploited and abused for the holidays. And we can pull up statistics. I'm going to have my devices here. He has his devices there. But first, I just want to give Jamie an opportunity to introduce himself, and you can subscribe to his channel as well.
Thank you. Yeah. So my name is Jamie, and I am an energy worker, but also I've been vegan since like 2001. So long time vegan. My kids are vegan. Most of my family's vegan, and it's mostly because of animal rights, honestly, and health. So we've had a lot of Thanksgivings under our belt that have been vegan, and all of them have been awesome. So it's totally possible.
I don't know if you have any statistics right now off the top of your head, but I'm going to research how many animals are. Let's start with how many turkeys are for Thanksgiving. And it's really a holiday that should be about gratitude, and it's contradicting in itself as a holistic being to accept that energy into your body on a day you should be practicing abundance and gratitude. But I digress. There are 46 million turkeys that are murdered for Thanksgiving. What do you know about birds and their feelings, their wits, their intellect?
They're actually really smart. They have personalities. Um, my sister has she's vegetarian, so she has chickens in her, she's got a homestead and she has a lot of chickens and they all have personalities. They all act differently. They like to be held or they don't. I mean, they're very much like any other animal that you would have.
Yeah,
They're
and
highly intelligent.
of communication, birds of different species communicate the same way. Like each species has its own direct communication, and birds have dialects. They're very they're very compassionate, loving, territorial. They are also meant to live longer. Do you have any insight as to how long turkeys have to remain in crates? Even if it's considered cage free, they're cramped in a tight space. How long do they get pumped up into these large birds before they get slaughtered?
I think just a few weeks. It's not that long.
It's only a few weeks.
I mean, when they're like, sorry, they're incubated for like a few weeks, and then they're kept in like a crate or like a cage, depending on the farm, for several months.
So, does anyone, I'm just going to ask in the comments below, have any questions about or interest in being vegan this holiday? Thanksgiving, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve, or New Year's. Sorry, I just got off of another live stream, so the chat is a little bit still attached to the other live stream. And just to understand, like we are focusing on animal rights. So if anyone has any interests or questions, this is live stream that I planned last week, and I can't believe Wednesday already creeped up on me. Oh, yeah, it's gonna. I wish this. Maybe I can just mute people who I don't know. What do you think?
Hey, like if you have no interest in this live, why are you wasting your time being here? Like just jump off. Like what's the point?
Yeah, Yeah.
It's kind of pathetic.
Um, yeah, we're not debating. We're just on here to talk about how we should show compassion and love animals. A lot of people would agree they love animals, but we should, instead of being what's called speciesists, focus our on spreading our love to all animals. So, how many of you love animals? That's hi, King Smith. How many of you love animals? Let's just start there.
I think it's really important to understand, like, everybody can say, "Oh, I love my dog, I love my cat, I love my pets." You would never dream of eating them, but there's literally no difference between the intelligence of farm animals and animals that we consider pets or animal companions.
And Rogue is actually someone who I inspired to be vegan. And now, how long have you been vegan since my TikTok live streams? 2 years. I love seeing Rogue on here who's still vegan. And if you're vegan, comment yes. If you're vegan, comment below.
I actually did go to nutrition school,
He's a
just
certified.
FYI.
There's no degree in veganism though. So veganism is a lifestyle choice. All of you, we're not gatekeepers of veganism. You can all be vegan right now. You can try it temporarily and see if it's something that grows into a lifestyle, or you can set goals little by little and slowly transition. For me, it was cold turkey. Yeah, that's not the right term to use right now, but it was just uh, uh, you love animals. You have a few animals. The first year I was vegan, it was really scary, just opening my eyes to all of the documentaries that showcase the exploitation, cruelty, and abuse that animals go through and suffer through in all industries, particularly the factory farming industry. Um, yeah, it's a little difficult. It's a tough crowd tonight, but yeah, tough crowd. But if anyone here is interested in being vegan, please comment below. If you have any questions about how you love animals, but you're sponsoring and endorsing the murder of animals, ask away. And I've said this before, like, say humans live 90 years. There's going to be 90 Christmases. You can just have one vegan Christmas and see if it makes a difference in how you feel afterwards.
So there's a question like, why do vegans eat food that tastes like meat? Well, because there's different reasons. A lot of vegans don't, but there are some vegans who just have a serious ethical conundrum with killing animals. And so they're not necessarily against the texture or the taste, but they want something like that, but they just don't want to kill. It's pretty simple. It's
Same
not
thing
nothing
everyone asks.
secret.
I could ask the same question. Why do you make chickens the shape of dinosaurs if you're not actually eating dinosaurs? It's just all about going and the true boycott of abuse, cruelty, rape, and murder. So if you look at the definition of boycott, I'll search it right now. Boycott definition. The definition of a boycott is to withdraw from commercial or social relations, or as a protest, or a punitive ban that forbids relations with certain groups, or cooperation with a policy, or the handling of goods. Those goods would be animal products because they're treated like pencils in a factory, but the truth the at the end of the day, pencils are not sentient. They don't have social relationships. They're an inanimate object. And the problem is that when factory farming spiked, what, like 100 years ago? How long has factory farming been in existence? It's only been over the last, what, 100 years. We have traded in our morals and values to put euphemisms and slowly evolve and profit from the murder and sentience, and the profit from murdering sentient beings. And now we look at them as if they're inanimate objects and they don't matter, which is why when someone says they're an animal lover, they truly don't associate cows, pigs, lambs, sheep, uh, rabbits as compassionate beings. They're just non human beings. So, veganism is a boycott where you're putting your money increases demand for vegan products, and slowly over time you see more and more vegan demand, and now you have Walmart with refrigerators full of plant-based milks. Fun. You know what I'm saying? So that's my answer to that. Sorry, I get annoyed when people say that. Why do they make vegan substitute? Because we don't need to eat sex cells. We can have mung beans. We don't have to eat eggs. Those are sex cells. That's weird. Um anyway, do you have any other comments you want to respond to? If anyone has questions, please ask away. Am I frozen?
No, well, not I. You don't look frozen on my end.
Okay. Oreos are vegan, isn't that cool? The cream is made from soy. So yeah, Oreos are vegan. And they have gluten-free Oreos. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. Sometimes it does get glitchy with my Wi-Fi.
There
Um,
are there are some vegan Taco Bell options if you really care. You can
yeah.
get a bean and rice burrito.
I like Taco Bell because they go above and beyond for their vegan customers. They have a menu that puts every single ingredient in everything they have, from the wraps, the shells to the even the beans. And yeah, if you want to fast food chain, I would go with Taco Bell because they have really awesome trainings that all their employees have to have pertaining to vegan customers and vegan friendly menu options. They have different logos. Like a lot of restaurants will just put a V next to an item and it's a vegetarian item. It's not vegan. So like the V logo gets entangled with between vegans and vegetarians, and it can get messy. Restaurants don't care, but Taco Bell cares. I mean, obviously they're not a vegan restaurant, and that's a mix up a lot of people have. There's no discernment. Walmart is not a vegan grocery store, but tons of vegans shop at Walmart. There's Olive Garden is not a vegan restaurant, but the breadsticks are vegan. So yeah. Sorry, I'm talking more than you. This is
No, you're good.
have the mic now.
No, there's a question about like vegan processed food and artificial estrogen. So vegan processed food, just like any processed food, just be careful. There's like a rule of really don't eat food that has more than 5 or 6 ingredients or ingredients that you don't know what they are. And there are some things like impossible or not impossible, beyond, where the meat industry spent, I think, $53 million on a smear campaign against them about how they're highly processed and everything like that. They're really not that bad, honestly.
And yeah,
And
spices.
yeah,
And again, you don't have to be strict. Like that's a nutrition thing. So that's the nutritionist coming out, and Jamie, he is a certified nutritionist. Um, he would recommend not to eat uh items that have more than 5 ingredients. But there are, at the end of the day, there are vegan products that are processed with more than 5 ingredients that don't have murder and animal cruelty attached to it. So some of those examples would be oatmeal. There's lots of processed oatmeal packets that are vegan with a vegan logo on it. They have more than 5 ingredients. Another example could be like vegan pudding. Yeah, that's considered like processed vegan food. But at the end of the day, I would choose vegan processed food over non-vegan processed food because one, it doesn't have cholesterol, and two, there's no murder attached to it.
right. And cruel, especially with the dairy industry, there's a lot of cruelty to animals. Um, but also, I'm not sure what you mean by fake estrogen. Maybe you mean phytoestrogen. And phytoestrogens actually scientifically have been proven to be completely safe. There's no issue with them. And they actually stop your body from absorbing actual estrogen, which is better for long term health, especially for women. And the interesting thing about that is people are so worried about extra estrogen. Well, guess what? What has the most estrogen of any food that you could possibly have? Milk, dairy milk. Why does it have estrogen? Because the mother is lactating because she just had a child. And her body is full of progesterone, estrogen. all the hormones, and yet you are drinking that if you drink milk. So if you want to avoid estrogen, if you're worried about like this whole concept of being a soy boy, which is absolutely made up and basically propaganda from the meat industry, estrogen is the predominant thing for estrogen is dairy milk. So you don't want estrogen, don't drink milk. I mean, it's pretty simple. Phytoestrogens don't nearly act the same way, and they actually block actual estrogen, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and part of being vegan is number one, compassion. It's all about compassion to animals, and we should also focus on extending that compassion to humans. That's why I'm not going to make someone feel like they're less of a person because they're uneducated or because they just haven't had the same enlightenment I have. And other vegans struggle. There's some vegans who struggle with being vegan. They want to do the right thing, but there's setbacks. And I always say I'd recommend the supplements I use because supplements help me with food cravings and stuff like that. I always feel better when I take supplements. And I'm not a nutritionist, but he is. I would argue that people who aren't vegan definitely need supplements because when you're vegan, you're taking in more phytonutrients. And Jamie, do you want to explain that? Because you are the new here.
So phytonutrients basically are the compounds found in plants that you need or that your body actually uses to basically rebuild a lot of the different compounds, the chemical compounds in the body that you need, for example, like hormones and things like that. So a lot of the trick there to get a diversity of different phytonutrients. So if you eat, even if you eat meat, you can start by doing this. So you can eat 30 different fruits and vegetables a week, which is totally doable. And generally, you will get all the nutrition that you need. You will get more than enough protein because that's completely oversold. Sorry. You don't need as much as they say, and you can get plenty from plants. Almost every plant has protein. And so if you're really focusing on the phytonutrients, you're gonna be okay. I and my clients, we've had tests done where they check blood, but also, different markers to show, like, our health or, like, do we have any deficiencies in different nutrients? And it's come back like, I don't need any supplementation just because of how diverse of a diet that I eat with the plants and the fruits. Like, it's pretty simple. Like our bodies are designed for that. If you're eating predominantly meat or this new trend for carnivore diet, which is just honestly a ticking time bomb, and there's not a lot of research on the long-term effects of it, and it's going to be bad, I promise you. You're not getting the nutrients you need. You don't need that much protein, and that high protein will actually acidify your body and really overtax your kidneys, which are going to be in bad shape in about 10 years. So please be careful of that. It's very dangerous, actually.
As someone said they like milk, especially chocolate milk, and I think that Jamie can agree with this. You can have chocolate almond milk. You can add stevia to it if you don't like sugar, because they always offer sweetened or unsweetened. And there's also more calcium in almond milk than dairy. There's also other plant-based milks like oat milk, chocolate cashew milk, rice milk. And do you want to go into two categories? One, how plant-based milk, especially almond milk, has more calcium. And two, talk about the myth, the propaganda regarding protein, because people are always talking about protein when vegan is a topic.
Right. Even when I went to take my children to the pediatrician, right? The first question they ask is, "Do your kids get enough protein?" And I said, "Of course they do." Um, I said, "Have you ever," and I asked them this straight up. I said, "Have you ever had anybody come in with a protein deficiency?" And they're like, "Well, no, but we have to make sure that you have enough protein." I said, "How do you even measure that? How do you even understand that?" And one doctor actually told me, she said, "Your kids need to eat meat." And I said, "No, they don't." I said, "They're getting way more nutrients than the average kid. They're well above average with their growth, et cetera, et cetera." And actually, I reported her to her supervisor, and she got reprimanded pretty badly because her supervisor agreed with me. He was in charge of the entire. He worked for Kaiser, and he was like in charge of the entire pediatric unit for the whole Mid Atlantic unit. And she got reprimanded pretty badly for saying that to me because it's completely false. And even Kaiser's website has a whole section on raising vegan children. So it's just absolute nonsense. Just the problem is that in medical school, a lot of them are funded by big ag, by agricultural companies. And even right now, I have a client who's a medical student, and their nutrition classes are absolute BS. And it's funded by big ag. And even in their nutrition classes that they're taking right now, it's promoting meat, 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 meat. And if you look where the money goes, where the money's coming from, if you do the research, you see that it's coming from the meat companies because they're trying to promote this agenda.
Contributes the leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease, followed by colorectal cancer. And if you actually look at these lobbying groups, it says red meat, group one carcinogen. And maybe you can get into how lobbying groups have brainwashed people into believing they need these dead animals that have been murdered. And they kind of, even though it's listed and labeled as a group one carcinogen, they just kind of override that and still promote the consumption of these carcinogenic murdered animals.
Right. Well, pro-
Lobbying.
yeah, I mean, protein has just been kind of misunderstood for probably 120 years. And so, protein, what is a protein, right? It's the combination of, um, uh, gosh, it's the combination of why is my brain failing? The acids. Do you know what I'm talking about? My
Amino.
brain is totally. And thank you so much. It's a combination of amino acids. That's all it is. And there are certain ones that our body doesn't make. So those are basically acids that we need from an external source. And so when we eat protein, we're getting those amino acids that our body does not produce naturally. And there's like, hold on, I've got my list here. There's like 8 or 9 that we don't make, and then the rest that we do make. And for the ones that we don't make, we do need external sources for those,
That would be
and they have to come from protein.
would that
But
be
do they have to?
B12?
Hmm?
Is that B6 and B12 or something different?
Those are different, but we're
Okay.
talking about like there's 23 different amino acids, and let's see, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 8 or 9 are essential, right?
Mhm.
And so the whole idea is you got to get all these amino acids. You have to have a complete protein because if you don't have a complete protein, you're not going to get all these amino acids. Also, the idea of a complete protein is has been debunked. Even the doctor who published a paper on a complete protein, she retracted it. It was written in the 1970s, and everybody jumped on that. It was retracted because it actually wasn't true.
A picture while you continue this, and I'm going to show the picture in about 5 minutes. And keep explaining that myth to them. And maybe you can explain what lobbying are and how they profit from people getting sick from consuming red meat and all animal products, frankly, especially fish. There's so many carcinogenics that you're not even allowed to drink water from the ocean. And why would you? It's so dirty. Yeah, you're consuming animals from the ocean that are absorbing it 24/7. But I'm going to be drawing a picture. And can you please, yeah, if you want to go off that.
But there's really not much difference between animal protein and plant protein. One does take slightly more energy to break down, which is plant protein, but there's also so many more benefits to it. So there's no real downside. It's just a myth. It's not true. There's no science to back that. So supplementing your diet with plant protein or just using that as your primary source of protein is totally fine. There's no issue with that.
I'm just doing,
Um,
and you're gonna love it, guys. I know you are. So just give me some time. And if anyone has any questions about animal sentience, why? So a lot of people have this belief that animals are just here to be eaten, and they're not. Humans are herbivores. Um, Maybe we can get into how humans evolved with fruit trees.
and to touch base on the B12 that you mentioned, so a lot of people think B12 is from meat. There's no B12 in meat at all. Actually, B12 is from bacterial decomposition. So guess what has the highest B12 in the meat world? The oldest meat, the meat that has decomposed more. That's where you're going to get more B12. And generally speaking, traditionally, we would get our B12 from soil because B12 is in the soil. And so it generally is attached to plants and things like that. But we wash our food now so much that a lot of that B12 is removed. Um, yeah, it's in decomposing soil, which is nutrient rich soil. So if your meat has a lot of B12, often it's injected with B12, so it is supplemented for you. So FYI, they don't have to tell you that, and they don't tell you what kind of B12 that they're using. So yeah, they will literally inject B12 into the animals before they slaughter them. And second, B12 is generally from, yeah, it's from the decomposition. So, it's not a meat only thing. So the only supplement that you might need is B12, but you can also get that from mushrooms. So it's not, you don't need a lot of B12.
I'm just doing something, and please understand that animals are there's no humane way to kill an animal because they don't want to die. They're social, they sense fear. They have to wait in a line while their friends and family and um, daughters and mothers are being murdered before them, and it's very cruel. It's abuse, and they do not want to die. There's no humane way to go about murdering an animal, especially hunting, because those animals are in the wild. They're social. They're waiting to go back to their home. They have moms that are waiting for them. And I'm just drawing this real quick, and it's an interesting topic that I'm going to be presenting here in a few minutes.
So there's a good question. What are my opinions on lab-based meat? So honestly, um,
Lab
g-
based.
great as far as no killing. If everybody who ate meat could eat that, then that would help a lot with pollution and kind of restoring our native agriculture. But you still have the same health issues. They're not going to go away unless they genetically engineer it somehow. You're still going to have the issues with high cholesterol. Um, you're still going to have the issues that it is still a carcinogen, especially if you cook it over fire. So, I mean, I'm all for it as far as there's no cruelty involved, but I still wouldn't eat it just for health reasons.
Can you explain why that is? And I'm gonna be explaining why that is in just a minute, because this drawing actually has a lot to do with that, and I'm almost done with the drawing.
Do you mean why I wouldn't eat lab-based meat? Oh, it's the same reason. It's just the health reasons. I mean, it's better for the environment. It's better for animal welfare, for sure. 100% better. And if you have that option, great. And you eat meat, great. Do that. But it still comes with the same but health baggage.
I've said this so many times. Um, Hold on. I'm almost done.
Mm.
Can
And
you like,
cows are generally artificially inseminated.
so if you have like a steak, would that be the exact same thing as the actual steak with the same ingredient or same molecular structure?
You mean if it was lab grown?
Yeah.
From my understanding, I mean, there are different ways to do it, but there's different ways to kind of build a muscle, artificial muscle, I guess. You can 3D print it or you can kind of grow it in a medium, from my understanding. But as far as the nutritional profile, it's going to be pretty much the same.
Okay. I'm almost done with the drawing. I kind of had one issue, but I'm almost back. I have to make a phone call.
Oreos generally are vegan, not necessarily healthy, but they're vegan. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll have an Oreo once in a while, but I don't really buy them. I don't vape. I don't know anything about vaping. Sorry. Over the counter medication. What do you just be more if you could be more specific? How long have I been vegan? Since 2001.
All right.
This isn't medical advice. Neither of us are doctors. That's a disclaimer. This is not medical advice. So you are if you are staying here listening to what we're saying, and you understand this is not medical advice. Are you asking if Tylenol is vegan?
Wait, save that for the next topic.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to show you my drawing. And I'm going to explain why, even if it's lab grown meat, it's unhealthy. I'm literally right here. Okay. You guys are going to like this. It puts it into a picture. So I've said this so many times. We breathe oxygen, right? We breathe oxygen. And what's inside of carbon dioxide? Oxygen. So would you enter a smoky factory and inhale all of the carbon dioxide just oxygen? So this is a protein chemistry formula. This is protein. And as you see, you have protein right here. You have, okay, some elements in a muscular cell. When you eat a muscular cell, you're not eating protein. Protein is produced, like, how do we explain this? So, for example, horses live off of plants. They live off of plants and they grow muscles. Go to Instagram and search Jack Vegan, vegan gains, vegan muscle. Plants, there's still protein production or whatever. You can build muscles. You don't have to eat a muscle to build muscle because the very small trace amounts of protein in a muscular cell that's in a steak aren't going to give you enough protein when you can just eat fucking spinach. Who here has watched Popeye the Sailor Man? How jacked he was from eating spinach. It's the same concept. Thinking that you have to eat muscles to gain muscles is crazy. It's the same thing as thinking you have to breathe in carbon dioxide to breathe in oxygen. You're only hurting yourself. So if they make lab grown meat one day, lab grown steak, you're doing the same thing. You think like that's like thinking, oh, I want muscles, so I'm going to eat muscles. There's a reason some people who are vegan or not build muscles and they have cut, ripped, toned muscles that are visible. And then there's a reason some people don't. It has nothing to do with eating muscles. You don't have to eat muscles to build muscles. And I just want to clarify you don't have to breathe in carbon dioxide to breathe oxygen. Do you understand the point I'm making? And also, Jamie, what plants are very like, explain protein. Like, can you just explain protein to these people? Like protein in broccoli, protein in spinach.
So this might come as a shock to everybody, but pretty every vegetable's got protein.
Yes.
Every vegetable has protein. So if you eat vegetables, you're getting protein. So there are some vegetables that have higher protein than others. But here's like a shocker that people usually don't realize is like broccoli is about 16 to 17% protein. Broccoli, go figure. And also legumes, beans, very high in protein.
Yeah.
Soy, super high in protein. And don't worry about soy unless you have some type of sensitivity to it. If you have a sensitivity, obviously avoid it. But it's super high in protein, and the phytoestrogens in protein block real estrogen. That's actually been proven scientifically that it's actually good for you in that regard. So there's as long as you're getting protein of some kind, you're getting the amino acids, your body's breaking them down, and then your body's using those amino acids to create new protein in your body, like muscles, everything else that your body needs, connective tissue, etc.
Hmm.
Um, and generally, it's this is not rocket science. Please understand, like this has all been proven. The vegans live generally on average 7 years longer. And why? It's because their cardiovascular health is so much better.
Yeah, and we've seen if all of you have seen a vegetarian's artery, a vegan's artery, and an animal person who consumes animal products artery. So vegan artery versus vegetarian versus meat eater. Can you explain after I show the picture how many weeks it takes to clear your arteries by being vegan? So let me flip the phone. So this is a meat eater's artery, a vegetarian's artery, and a vegan's artery. There's-
I'm not sure weeks, but I think it generally speaking, if I were coaching somebody on becoming vegan or switching to a plant-based diet, they're gonna be looking at 6 months to a year. I mean, I don't know if you have other numbers for that, but you're gonna see a big shift in, like, maybe about a month, but the long-term shift you'll see in about 6 months to a year.
Okay. Yeah, so there's hope if you ever are at an age like you're 55, 60, and now suddenly you have high blood pressure and it's because your arteries are clogged. Just know if you eat fruits and vegetables, take vegan supplements, and eat lots of plant-based meals, and maybe even become vegan 6 months to a year, you would be doing yourself such a big favor and you'd be helping animals. Go vegan,
Right,
guys. It's time to try it out and you can see the proof for yourself. It's a really good feeling. Everyone here, you're welcome to be vegan. I know a lot of you think you can't, and I just want all of you to comment. Do you think you could be vegan just for 7 days? Yes or no? Do you like physically think that you're capable of it? Yes or no? For 7 days. Not a matter of do you want to be vegan. Do you think you're capable to be vegan for 7 days? No. 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 Really, Lemon? I love that. No, no, never, no. Okay. Gail, you said yes. Hi, Gail. I love you. I'm glad to see you here. And you're retired. You said yes, you'd be capable, but you wouldn't want to. Gail said yes. Jen says, oh, of course, Lemon says yes. I love it. I love it. And this will be my 10th podcast episode because the holidays are coming up and there are a lot of animals who are suffering right now in tight crates. How many do you have this statistic? How many of these animals are farmed in the Amazon rainforest for holidays where we're talking about turkeys, pigs, cows? Can you find that statistic? And I'll tell you why most of the animal products, meats, steaks, chicken nuggets come from the Amazon because it's warm year round. If you're farming animals in the United States, you have winter, you have a high electric bills, high gas bills, whereas in the Amazon rainforest, they wipe out the forest and it's warm all year round. They don't have to pay high gas bills, high electric bills. They can just farm them there. Um, I think a majority of like Tyson, what other brands? Lots of Purdue, um, lots of the major brands, even Darden. A lot of those meats come from the Amazon rainforest.
do like, what's most of the land used for, right? It's agricultural, it's soybeans and corn for not for humans, it's for livestock, right? So much of the Amazon and other places are being deforested for
So
grazing, but also for growing food for livestock. Only like 30% of the food that we grow goes to humans. Think about that. If we converted maybe to like 80% plant-based, we would have no global warming. Like, seriously, that's where it all comes from. Cars and planes are like 15%. The rest of it comes from everything associated with factory farming. So just put it into perspective how much energy and effort it takes to make a steak. It's pretty ludicrous.
and I do take supplements every day. I'm finally all in stock. I have all my supplements. Here is the long list of supplements I take. I think there's 6 or 7 bottles. I have one that's iron and folate and inulin. That's Plant Fusion, vegan iron. I take a hair, skin, and nails. That's biotin, vitamin C, vitamin E oil. That's Mary Ruth Organics. It's vegan. I take vitamin D3 through Mary Ruth Organics, vegan. I take ashwagandha with magnesium by the brand AFX Mate. That's vegan. I take a brand called Diva in magnesium calcium that also has copper, biotin, or no, copper,
Hmm.
boron, zinc, magnesium, potassium, and the final one I take is a raw vitamin B complex by a brand called Garden of Life, and it has B6, B12, and there was another couple of B vitamins I'd never heard of that are in this, and those are the supplements I take. My daughter takes that brand Diva as well. It's a affordable vegan multivitamin for her. I don't do multivitamins. That's just what I take. Jamie, would you like see I have a pinned comment below. Garden Girl said,
Oh. Hmm.
please explain take supplements and what you need to take as a
The
vegan or as a non-vegan. I don't know.
you everybody might need different things, and it depends on your diet. But if you're doing the 30 different phyto or different plants per week to get the phytonutrients, you shouldn't need much. The only supplement that I take, honestly, is occasionally I will take a B12 spray, um, and that is methylcobalamin. So methylcobalamin, it's already methylated, so it's easier for your body to absorb. Try to avoid the cyanocobalamin if you can, if you do take B12. But if you're really concerned about it, you need to get checked, get a blood test, get something done, get some blood work done to see what you're really lacking. Then you can do two things. You can say, okay, what plant foods have these things naturally, because that's the best way to get them, because your body sees it as food and can metabolize it easier. Or what supplementation do I need? I don't think there's a general answer. Like Adriel, obviously, she researched what she needed and she's taking what she needed. So I would suggest you to do the same. Omegas also, guess who blew that up is the fish market, the fish industry. Fish don't make omegas. You don't need fish oil. It's absolutely ridiculous. Omegas are made only in plants. Only. That's it. That's the only natural process that makes omegas. Why do fish have them? Because they eat plankton. So if you get it from the source, it's going to be a lot cleaner. There's a lot less risk of heavy metal contamination, and there's a lot less risk of other contamination. So omega's just fatty acid. It's a fatty acid. You can get that from avocados. Like that's all you need. You don't need fish oil. That's just fish oil is a waste product of the fish industry that has been marketed as a health product, and it often is contaminated with heavy metals because it's not tested. So just please be careful if you're taking that.
Can question that's really common propaganda from the meat industry and lobbying groups, and he said something that basically falls along the lines of, well, we have to tear down the forest and kill all the monkeys or remove them from their habitat to grow your crops. But Jamie just answered this question earlier. 30% of the crops go to humans and the rest to feed livestock in the Amazon forest. They have to it's called deforestation. They wipe out bits of the Amazon rainforest. Really dangerous for our oxygen supply. And I'm going to elaborate on that in a minute. But they take down parts of the rainforest to feed millions of cattle per year. Now, the reason they choose Brazil is because the leader of Brazil has no restrictions. There's no codes as to how much can be torn down because all they care about is profiting off of selling those animals and the animal products, so selling their flesh. But back to King's original question, Jamie, maybe you can answer this. Is it any different with organic crops, or is it the same?
So generally, organic soil is healthier and has more diversity as far as its bacterial composition and the minerals and things in the soil. So you're looking at them.
Oh, wait, can I just ask, is this because the fertilizer doesn't pollute the ocean? So once the fertilizer just washes up, whether it's a river or an ocean, so like when they used to use or when they still use regular fertilizer, it's filled with pesticides that contaminate the water versus organic that doesn't. Is that what that means or no?
Well, there's different kinds of. I'm not a farmer, but this is just from my understanding and the research that I've done. Okay. So organic fertilizer and organic soil has to maintain, um, or basically it's more complete, it's more nutrient dense. And so you're not using so artificial fertilizer, for example, is generally some type of nitrogen compound, right?
Mhm,
Because that helps plants grow very rapidly. And so they'll just use nitrogen compounds and put them in the soil, but you're not really adding anything else to the soil, nor are you growing it in a way that is sustainable. So you're depleting the soil constantly. And so there, if you can, so the organic fruits and vegetables on average do have a higher density of nutrients. Like whatever, like if you have a tomato, for example, whatever like lycopene would be higher in a tomato that was grown outside in the sun and organic versus one that was grown with man-made fertilizers, for example, right? And then you have the pesticide issue as well. So a lot of those get absorbed into the skin of the fruit and or the plant, right? The leaves. And so there's no real way to get rid of them. And a lot of those, our body does not understand how to process it. For example, Roundup, right? That's used a lot on wheat, especially. Our body just doesn't have the capability to properly detox that. And so you can actually have a toxic buildup of that in the body. And it's harder. It gets, the more that you have, it's harder for your body to detox that. And that can lead to things like issues with your lymphatic system. So it's just healthier and more nutritious, basically. Less toxic, more nutritious.
mhm. So, yeah, with the upcoming holidays, I really hope that you are intrigued to learn about animal products that you can replace with plant-based products. A good brand would be Tofurky. If you're sensitive to soy like I am or allergic, you could replace that with Beyond. I don't know if Beyond makes a turkey, but they also have these really good turkey steaks that are made from mushrooms. I can't remember the name of the brand. You don't have to have a turkey on Thanksgiving to have a meal and be grateful for your family and eat with your family. But let me Google vegan turkey brand. I know that another good brand. That's the brand I use for the pepperoni I use. Another brand is Guardian, um, Tofurkey again. So those mushroom steaks. So vegan mushroom steaks from Whole Foods. They also make Tofurkey makes a vegan ham, by the way. My kids love it. Oh, it's called T Meati. These are mushroom steaks and they're so freaking good. I don't know why they're so good, but these right here